He had grease on his hands and hope in his heart, a man who fixed engines but dreamed bigger. That afternoon, under the golden sun, his life was running as smoothly as the cars he repaired, until a wealthy CEO stepped into his shop. What began as a simple request for help turned into a moment that would strip away dignity, expose deep prejudice, and leave a mark neither man would ever forget. How could a single encounter reveal so much about the world we live in today?
Marcus Johnson was the kind of man everyone in town knew, if not by name, then by the steady hum of his workshop. From sunrise to sundown, he worked with precision, coaxing life back into broken-down engines. His small garage sat at the edge of the city, a modest place with peeling paint and a radio that never stopped playing old soul tunes. He didn't have much, but what he had, he'd built with his own two hands. Life was simple, almost predictable. Each morning, he greeted the same neighbors, waved at kids riding past on bicycles, and opened his shop doors to whoever needed help, whether they could pay or not. His calloused hands told the story of long days, but his easy smile hinted at something deeper, quiet pride. But on that warm Thursday afternoon, something shifted. A sleek black luxury car rolled up to the curb, its glossy surface reflecting the dusty street like a mirror. From the driver's seat stepped a man in an expensive suit, polished shoes, gold watch, the kind of presence that seemed to swallow the space around him. Marcus had no reason to expect anything unusual, but as the man approached, there was a subtle change in the air, an unspoken tension. In the next few minutes, Marcus's sense of security, dignity, and trust would be put to the ultimate test.
The man in the suit stopped just inside the garage, his sharp gaze sweeping the space as though it were beneath him. Marcus greeted him with his usual warmth, wiping his hands on a rag and asking what brought him in. The stranger didn't answer right away. He simply looked Marcus up and down, lingering on his grease-stained coveralls, then on his dark skin. Finally, he pointed to his car and said, flatly, "It's making a noise. Fix it." Marcus nodded, stepping outside to listen to the engine. But before he could even pop the hood, the man muttered under his breath, words that stung like an open wound. "I hope you know what you're doing. Last time I let one of you touch my car, it cost me a fortune." The sentence hit Marcus like a punch. It wasn't just the insult, it was the tone, the unshakable assumption that his skills, his worth, were tied to the color of his skin. Marcus felt a heat rise in his chest, but he swallowed it down. Years of experience had taught him that speaking up could come at a price. Still, the tension in the air thickened. As Marcus worked, the man hovered close, arms crossed, eyes scanning his every move as if expecting him to fail. At one point, Marcus heard a chuckle, low, mocking, followed by, "You know, I've got a friend who runs a real shop, state of the art. Doesn't look like this." Marcus kept his focus, tightening bolts and checking belts, but the man's words dug deeper with each passing minute. A few neighbors slowed their steps to see what was happening. Marcus noticed them out of his corner of his eye, and so did the man. That's when the stranger's voice rose, loud enough for others to hear. "Funny, isn't it? I could buy and sell this whole block, and here you are, still doing oil changes." The humiliation burned. Marcus's hands trembled, but not from uncertainty. He'd built the shop from nothing. Every tool, every worn-down floorboard was a testament to his work. Yet here was someone trying to strip away his pride in front of an audience. Then came the moment that shifted everything. As Marcus finished tightening the last bolt, the man stepped closer, smirking. "Tell you what, how about we make this interesting? You say you know your stuff, but I doubt it. I'll pay double if you can fix this right now, no mistakes. But if you mess it up..." He paused, letting the words hang like a blade over Marcus's head. "You'll be proving exactly what I already think about you." The crowd outside the shop grew by one or two more curious faces. Marcus could feel their eyes on him, waiting to see what he'd do. His heart pounded. The challenge wasn't about the car anymore. It was about dignity, worth, and standing against the weight of every stereotype this man carried in with him. Marcus took a slow breath, wiped his hands, and met the man's gaze. If this was the test, he was ready. But neither of them knew that what would happen next would turn the tables in a way no one saw coming.
Marcus slid under the hood, every movement sharp and precise, the weight of a dozen watching eyes pressing down on him. The man in the suit leaned against the car, smirking like a judge waiting for a guilty verdict. "Better not waste my time," he muttered, loud enough for the gathering crowd to hear. Marcus worked faster, his hands steady despite the storm boiling inside him. But then, it happened. The man stepped forward, yanked the wrench from Marcus's hand, and waved it at the onlookers. "See this? This is what you people are good for, tools and sweat. Leave the real work to the rest of us." Gasps rippled through the bystanders. Someone raised their phone to record. Marcus's chest tightened, anger, humiliation, and something deeper. The centuries-old echo of every insult, every door slammed shut because of the skin he was born in. The man tossed the wrench to the ground, the clang echoing through the shop. "Go ahead, prove me wrong," he said, his voice dripping with mockery. Marcus crouched, picked it up, and in that instant, he made a choice. Not just to fix the car, but to answer every unspoken question hanging in the air. His hands moved like lightning. Years of skill poured into every twist and turn. The engine roared to life, smooth, powerful, flawless. The crowd murmured, but before Marcus could speak, the man laughed. "Lucky guess. Let's see how long it lasts." Then, in a move no one saw coming, Marcus stepped back, wiped his hands, and said clearly, "It's done. Drive it." The man slid into the driver's seat, turned the key, and froze. Not because the car ran perfectly, but because the small digital display lit up with a message he couldn't ignore, something Marcus had quietly programmed in while he worked. 3 words glowed bright. "Respect is earned." The man's smile faltered. The crowd leaned in, and in that suspended moment, the balance of power shifted. What happened next would silence the street. The street was silent, except for the smooth purr of the engine. The man in the suit sat frozen, his hands gripping the steering wheel, the message on the dashboard burning into his mind. Around him, the murmurs of the crowd shifted, no longer amused, but impressed. Some even smiled, not at the man, but at Marcus. Without a word, the stranger stepped out, avoiding Marcus's eyes. He pulled out his wallet, dropped a thick wad of cash on the counter, and muttered something no one could quite catch before sliding back into his car. Moments later, the luxury vehicle disappeared down the dusty road, leaving only the scent of exhaust and an air of quiet triumph. Marcus stood there, heart still pounding. He hadn't shouted, he hadn't cursed, but he had reclaimed something that no insult could take away: his dignity. The neighbors who had gathered clapped softly, some giving him a pat on the back before heading home. The sting of the man's words was still there, but now it was tempered with something stronger: the knowledge that he had turned an act of prejudice into a moment of undeniable respect. But this wasn't just about one man, one insult, or one garage. It was a reflection of something much bigger, a reminder that racism doesn't always come in the form of violence or headlines. Sometimes it's the small cuts, the quiet assumptions, the moments meant to belittle. And here's the truth: no one should have to fight for their humanity to be recognized. Not Marcus, not anyone. So the question remains: how many more Marcuses will it take before we stop measuring a person's worth by the color of their skin?